Power Producers Shop Talk, where we are refining and redefining the sales game by equipping you with the tools you need to differentiate yourself in the marketplace.
Listening to the podcast is only going to get you so far. Why not take your game to the next level? Check out Power Producer Basecamp on killingcommercial.com today.
Tactical skills that'll help you provide deliverable value to your clients and prospects.
Want to have the sweet swag that we send out from the Power Producers podcast for your clients and employees? Check out policyt.com today.
And action items that you can provide to take your prospects and clients to the next level.
Want to create an online presence but don't know how to start? Check out crushingcontent.com. It's done for you, so all you have to do is show up.
This is Power Producer Shop Talk, production redefined. Are you ready to feel the power?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Power Producers Shop Talk, where we are refining and redefining the sales game, and we are going into our third and final segment of how do you prepare for the fourth quarter. And I got to tell you, we've gotten a ton of positive feedback on this series. Everybody has been very, very pumped up and energized, and it's putting a lot of momentum against something else we've been working on, and that is the Power Producer Basecamp. If you haven't checked it out yet, make sure you go to killingcommercial.com and hit Power Producer Basecamp at the top menu bar, and you're going to see all of the cool stuff we've done to revamp our old mastermind and bring it into, well, 2024 with a lot more value to you, a lot more historical resources, and a lot more structure for calls and things coming forward. Check it out. You won't be sorry you did. Now, let's wrap up this series with session 3 of how to prepare for quarter 4. We got to have tools to track this stuff. You know, I don't think everybody needs to run out and buy a CRM right out of the box. I mean, I think it's pretty well documented that I believe in CRMs, and I believe in them for enhancing the ability of salespeople to perform and sales leaders to manage, because you can get statistics from them, and honestly, producers to operate more efficiently because they can automate some tasks that need to be automated. But if you don't have a CRM, you still have to track it somewhere. And if you're not tracking it, how do you even know if you're being successful? Even if you have a spreadsheet with columns and you that talk about conversion percentages, that you can convert percentages from lead to suspect, suspect to prospect, and prospect to closed won and closed lost, even doing those calculations manually monthly is better than not tracking it at all. And it'll at least show you where you need to improve or how much you have improved. But if you're not utilizing a CRM to manage your pipeline effectively, you need to figure out how you're going to do that, because again, what gets measured gets done. With all of the reshops that are happening right now and all of the information that we need in order to quote somebody for new business, you can spend a tremendous amount of time on the phone, on email, soliciting for this stuff, calling and asking people to provide information over and over and over again. That's where you got to start automating some of these things and having those automations go out. You know, we're going through the process now. We shared with you guys client tiering last 2 weeks ago, but we're going through right now and reprogramming HubSpot completely for our renewal process. And we'll do a webinar just like this, and I'll bring somebody from my staff on to show you the draw IO of how everything is going to flow. And we're going to say, this is something that the producer has to talk to somebody about. So instead of us firing off an email asking for the information or an email reminding them that we have, we're going to assign a task for the producer to reach out instead, because they need the personal touch on this. But we were talking about it in one of the calls I was on earlier today about losing that touch point with your client. The reality is you got to have some base level of information. And if you want to meet with somebody in person every single time you need something, or you have to talk to them on the phone every single time you need something, that touch point becomes annoying to them. You're intruding on their day at that point. And so if you just send an email out at 120 days that says, hey, look, here's your warning, it's coming. We're going to shoot you a message and we're going to need some updates for your renewal. Just be expecting it. We're going to share with you what we have, but we want you to correct anything that you think is a discrepancy. And then in 7 to 10 days, the email goes out and said, you're on pay as you go on your workers' comp. Kind of irrelevant what your projections are because you're paying for what you actually use. So here's what we have annualized, but I don't know that we need to adjust this number. Now, I'm going to step back for a second because you may want to. If they think they're going to grow and they say they're going to grow by 20%, you need to make sure your client understands that they still are only going to pay for what they actually use if they're integrated with their payroll company. But the projection on the deck page may be higher because they're going to grow by 20%. The reason you need to think through that is because you may cut your client short. Ciara, you need to hear what I'm getting ready to say because this is really important for us here in Florida. I don't see any of the other Florida agencies on here, but it's really important for us in Florida because if you're not getting those increases and submitting that for renewal so that the premium on the deck page accurately reflects the projection, you might not be getting your client the best dividend plan available for them on the workers' comp. The best dividend plans are the companies that have the most premium. And so, if you've got somebody who's at 60,000, but they think they're going to hit 75, you probably want 75 to be on the deck page because that's where they're going to be. I'm not saying, and I want to be clear about this because the way the matrices work on dividends, you're not going to get disqualified from the plan, but you are going to get in a better and more robust plan. So for us, a really good dividend plan, if you have a 0% loss ratio and you've got $150,000 in premium, you're going to get 40 to 45% of that premium back as a function of a dividend. Well, if we project that and we get them in that place and they don't hit the number that's on the deck page, it's still, the matrix is still going to read, here's what you get based on this premium volume, but you qualified them for the higher percentage because you were at a higher projection to begin with. So it's still going to step down. They're not going to get the dividend based on the 150. They're going to get it based on whatever they use, but the 150 on the plan you got them on might be 45%, but if you would have left it at 75,000, it might only be 30% or 35%. So you have to be accurate in what that projection is. And so even though they're on pay as you go, we still want them to give us an idea of what they project to grow so we can make sure we have the most accurate representation to get them the best deal we can on the dividend. Statement of values, same thing. Driver's list, vehicle list, those are two things we should have. Statement of values included. All of that stuff should be updated in real time over the course of the year. All we're doing is exporting it from our agency management system, attaching it to an email and asking them to review it. I don't want to waste their time meeting in person to gather information. I want to spend time with them when we actually have numbers to talk about and we can talk strategy about what the renewal is going to look like moving forward and then what kind of services we're going to deliver at the agency level over the course of the year. I think the other thing is if you still want to have that personal touch, don't sell Zoom short. Not everybody needs to meet with you face-to-face, knee-to-knee at the table. A lot of people during COVID decided, you know what, Zoom's good enough for me. Let's go ahead and do Zoom. And now you can go in and you can, if you only need to talk to them for 30 minutes, you're literally talking to them for 25 to 30 minutes out of that 30 minutes. If they want to do that in person, you're going in, you're breaking ice, you're breaking the ice, you're catching up. For whatever reason, in my experience, Zoom meetings stay inside a schedule way more than when you're meeting with somebody in person. I can go off schedule real quick when we start telling stories and talking about kids and everything else in our meetings. So don't dismiss the idea of holding some of these meetings on Zoom because I think that it'll benefit you and you can get more of them done without intruding on somebody's day. You know, if I had to go do a renewal meeting over in Clearwater, I've already lost 2 hours out of my day, even if it's only scheduled for an hour, because it's going to take me actually probably 3 hours. It's going to take me almost an hour in traffic to get there, an hour to meet, and an hour in traffic to get back. I can't do that. Like that's just not that's not an effective use of my time. And so if those people are willing to meet digitally, we have the ability to do that. And the other thing is, you know, not to go too much into a tangent, but when you meet on Zoom like this, you can record it. So if I wanted feedback from my team, I can record my meeting for a renewal on Zoom. I can play it in sales meeting and let them shred me and tell me what I could have done better, what I did good, all of that. Your account managers can actually see what's going on in a new business meeting. Many times they never get to go out at the point of sale to see what it is that a producer does. They can see what that meeting looks like, and they can also tell you things you missed. They know a lot of things they run into that they need over the course of the day, every single week, week in and week out on the course of the year. If you show them the meeting and they're like, you know what, you really should ask them these 3 questions because that would solve this problem. Guess what? You can get those 3 questions answered and make your account manager's life a lot easier. Don't discount the ability of being vulnerable and letting your team give you feedback. It's only going to make you better as a producer, and Zoom allows you to record those meetings and seek that feedback you might not otherwise get. I think, one thing that's probably is important as anything else in all of this, and I'll talk about this as we wrap up, is your mindset. Because we can get beat down right now. Like, it's bad. I've told you guys we're getting shopped. I don't like it, and I've noticed that when we get into a point where we're competing against somebody on our own account for renewal, and I have a producer that can't understand why, we've done everything we've said we were going to do. I, as the leader of the organization, cannot allow a victim mentality to infiltrate the agency. I have to keep everybody positive and upbeat and focus on the things that we can control. You're at a point right now where service is an intangible for the most part. People will never remember the 150 certificates you got out as quickly as you could. They're going to remember the one that took longer than they wanted it to, and they're going to use that against you. They're going to remember the fact you didn't communicate about the audit. And they're going to remember all of the things, over the course of the year that might be minor discrepancies and minor infractions, rather, in a soft market. But in a hard market, that's the door getting open and your competition jamming their foot in the crack. And now they're in. So you have to do the things you need to do to program yourself to have a good, positive mindset and outlook moving forward, whatever that is for you. You'll face burnout in fourth quarter. You'll run way harder than you normally should or would. And it's the most crucial time for many of us because that's how we determine how our entire year turns out. Now, it would be nice to know that we've, sandbagged and put a whole bunch of new business on the books. So we already hit our goal going into fourth quarter, but I can't imagine that's the case for a lot of people. Some people certainly have already done that for this year. I'm not one of them. So I have to go out. I have to go to war, get in the battles, take my bruises and my scrapes, but I have to maintain a positive mental attitude and mindset as I do that. And how do you do that? It's different for each of us. For me, it's making sure that when I unplug on the weekends, I fully unplug, because if I can't have that time to devote to my family and invest in them, I'm never going to recover and recharge at the level I need to be able to go back and do what I need to do the next week. I'm always going to wish that I had done more. And, maybe I'm a little bit more sentimental about it now because I made a post on Facebook yesterday about this, but I've gone from a time where everything I experience with my kids is a first to now everything I experience is a last. In that, I know I'm getting emotional about it, but that's an interesting position to be in. When I turned 50, my perspective on life changed a lot. And we can get so caught up in the rat race of everything we're doing and everything I'm talking about today. But if you heard what I said, you got to have your priorities right, and you need to have your calendar balanced so that you're investing the time in the places that are important to you. If you don't have kids, invest in your spouse or your significant other. If you don't have one of those, invest in your physical fitness, in your own mental acuity, go out, exercise, hike, whatever it is. But we have to do that to be the best version of ourselves when we hit the streets every single day. Because if we're not taking the time to recharge, we're going to get diminishing returns the longer we push ourselves as we go to fourth quarter. And that 1-1 renewal cycle and everything leading up to it is not going to be the results we want. No matter how hard we planned, no matter how good our numbers are, no matter how many drops we made, no matter how many phone calls we made, you have to take care of yourself in the process, or it's just not going to work out. I see people in our industry dropping like flies, heart attacks, cancer, kidney failure, whatever it is, it's all the time that somebody I know has either passed away in the hospital, just had major surgery. And I often think to myself, could they have controlled that? Did they run so hard that they put themselves in that position? I can't imagine that there's an agency principal out there that would hold it against you for investing in yourself to make yourself better and taking advantage of your weekends and unplugging so that you can be the best version for them that you can be in the time that you're devoted to being in your job. Your clients will appreciate it. Your peers and your colleagues will appreciate it. Your prospects will see that there's somebody full of energy coming in to call on me and bring it a different level to the game. Your family will appreciate it, but most of all, you will too, because you're not going to end 2024 with a massive amount of fatigue. You're going to have a well thought out plan. You will have invested in calendar blocking and taken care of intentionally scheduling the time for the things that are the priorities in your life and making sure that you schedule your time to do your job the right way too. But then you set yourself up for an amazing 2025, which is what we would all hope to do. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a great week. If you need me, holler at me. I'm in the office this week and next week. I'm not going to be anywhere. In fact, I don't think I have any travel until Labor Day weekend when we're going to travel on a family trip. So my calendar's pretty open. If you're not somebody that I have a recurring call with and you need help, you should have no problem scheduling time with me. And if you're somebody I do have a recurring call with, I look forward to our call this week because I've got a lot of them on the docket that I think are going to be really fruitful. So have a great week, everybody, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks. See ya.